What's going on with y'all, man? Welcome. And if this is not your first time here, welcome back. You know what I'm saying? I just came on here to speak my mind, say a few things, get something off my chest. Let me know if y'all agree, disagree. What are your thoughts on the situation? Or, you know what I'm saying? Just chilling by. Maybe, I don't know. You know, just let me know. But yeah, with that being said, what I came on here to talk about was, does this first round exit affect Jokic's career? You know, now I know there's a lot of talk that's been going around. You know, most notably, I've seen Paul Pierce saying that, you know, if this was LeBron, y'all would put him down as much as y'all can. You know, and then I seen a couple people saying that it really doesn't affect him. You know what I'm saying? It's more on the organization as far as like constructing the team, and a lot of people blaming Jamal Murray, basically his outside cast. You know, they're not really blaming Jokic for this. And me personally, I think it definitely should affect his career somewhat, but I don't think to the point where we should, you know, basically ignore everything he's done before this. You know, as far as like downplay all the MVPs and the all NBAs, we like, it shouldn't get to that extent. But I do think that this definitely does not look good. You know, but me personally, I think I'm putting it more on the organization. And like I said, the supporting cast. I do think that Jamal Murray definitely could have played better. You know, basically Christian Brown could have, you know, stepped up more. And then you also got to think that they didn't have their two best defenders in Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson. You know, which is a main, like, those two pieces could have definitely shifted the series. Like I said, because they were their two best defenders. So when it came down to having to stop Julius Randle or stop Jaden McDaniels, you know, down the stretch, or even somebody like Ayo Dosunmu when he was taking over, you know, those two pieces could have definitely been, you know, that missing piece. But you also could say it on the other side, that the Timberwolves didn't have their two key players in Anthony Edwards, which he is one of the best in the NBA, and Dante DiVincenzo, who I feel like before he got injured was the most valuable player of the series. You know, especially with his hustle and, you know, just he does all the little things. The ultimate glue guy. Yeah, the best way to put it. But yeah, I just think so. You could definitely see it both ways. But I do think you have to factor in that they didn't have Peyton Watson and Aaron Gordon, you know, due to injury. Definitely could have shifted this series, or definitely could have put them in better position, especially earlier in the series when they were in those tight, close games and they needed must have it stops. But like I said, I do think you also have to factor in that this was Jokic's moment to really submit himself with the all-time greats. You know, because if you look at the all-time greats, the greatest players to ever play, you know, it's always been a situation, a play, a series, a game where they had to take over, where they had to put the team on their back, their franchise on their back, and really, you know, lead and will this team together, you know. So definitely, given that Jokic did end up having his worst series, that definitely does raise some eyebrows as far as maybe we need to slow down on the all-time great top 5 all-time discussions, you know. But, you know, I'm a firm believer in this one series doesn't define an entire player's career. You know, just how, you know, LeBron, for example, had some bad series. Kobe had some bad series. You know, there was points in Jordan's career he didn't make the playoffs. He had some bad series or some bad starts to a series. So it's definitely this one moment doesn't define his entire career. But But I definitely will say it does raise some concern. What I'm also here to talk about is the Denver Nuggets organization. You know what I'm saying? I definitely do think that it's time to switch something up. You know, I think they definitely hit a standstill where they're not going to get any better, but they're not going to get much worse to the point where now they're not even making the playoffs. I just think they're in kind of that no man's land where it's like they're too good to not make the playoffs and get a good draft pick or be in the lottery. And I think it's definitely time to switch some things up, whether that's trading Jamal Murray, whether that's keeping Jamal Murray and Jokic together, but changing the other supporting cast. Whether that's getting more depth, whether that's, you know, finding that third star. It's just something needs to happen because I think it's just, you can definitely tell, especially throughout moments in this series, the Nuggets, they just seemed stagnant. You know what I'm saying? Like when Jokic's shots wasn't falling, you can definitely see that the Nuggets, they don't really have a rhythm. They really feed off of what Jokic is able to do with the ball. And when he's not getting it going, or when he doesn't have it going, that's when you really start to see their struggles. Or even when Jokic and Murray doesn't have it going, you can definitely tell this team is nowhere near this. Like, this team really depends on how Jokic is able to play and dominate the ball. It's starting to look for more scoring options. You know, they definitely need more shot creation. You know, so when it comes to points where Jokic and Jamal Murray their shots are not falling, because there's been, as you can see throughout the series, there's going to be times where that happens, where the shots are not falling. They need that third star. They need that spark plug to either come off the bench or just that spark plug to jumpstart the offense. You know, score 5 to 7 points in a row to get the team rolling. You know, I'm not saying he got to average 25 points. No, just like I said, quick runs here and there. For example, the Timberwolves, at points you saw Bones Highland, for example, not taking over the game, but jump starting the offense and picking up the pace and scoring a quick 5 to 7 points, 10-point runs. You get what I'm saying? Before DiVincenzo got hurt, you saw him, you know, hitting a couple threes to jumpstart the offense. You've seen people like Naz Reid, you know, come off the bench or even at times be in the starting lineup and really jumpstart the offense and get everybody into a rhythm and let them feed off of that. So I definitely do think every team needs that type of player, you know, and it's just looking like the Nuggets don't have that. If Jokic does not have the ball or Jamal Murray doesn't have the ball, that team is dysfunctional. They do not have a third star. Let me not say star. They just don't have that third player that's going to relieve the pressure off of Murray and Jokic, so they don't have to score 30, 10, and 10 every game. Or where Murray doesn't have to score 25 to 30 points a game just for them to have a chance. Jokic, it seems like at points he was also tired. So I definitely do think the Nuggets, they definitely need depth, because having Jokic play pretty much almost the entire game, game 6, that's another thing it's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Especially because you're asking him to do so much, orchestrate the offense, and especially on the defensive side, now they're putting him in every action. It's just, you're taking a lot out of Jokic. Given that you're taking a lot out of him, it's going to be hard for him to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely have to have that option to come off the bench, or, you know, some big man depth, the front court depth, you know, to take some of that pressure off of Jokic. So when it comes to situations where you need a stop or you need a defensive presence, you can go to your bench and really let him reserve some of his energy because there was times where he was trying to get into a rhythm on offense, but because they're putting him in every action and every time the Timberwolves get a chance, they're attacking the paint. That takes a lot out of a player, you know. And like I said, on the offensive side, you're asking him to be able to orchestrate the offense, score the ball, set screens. Like, you're asking him to do everything. I do think they need to keep that depth in the backcourt also, because they just need more scoring, you know, in the backcourt. I do like that they added Tyus Jones. He definitely at times adds that little spark plug. But like I said, they need more scoring, whether it's from the wing position or it's from the two guard position. They just need that extra jolt in their offense, because like I said, there's times where their offense becomes too predictable, to the point where it's like, you know, the Jamal Murray and Jokic pick and roll is coming, you know, and there's times where they run that back to back to back to back, to the point where it's like, if it's not working now, it's like you don't have another option to go to, you know. Not saying that's a bad thing, because every team has a go-to play, but I do think having, you know, that third scoring option, that player that can come in and give you 15 to 20 points a game, you know, will take some of that pressure off and really add a sense of versatility to your offense. That's pretty much all I got for this video. I just came to talk my mind. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Just let me know. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Hold on. Did you like, comment, and subscribe? Did you do it? You did? All right, appreciate it. You know, I had to let you know.